With you and your organisation returning to business unusual, you are faced with not only managing the process, the health and safety process, but dealing with the many questions and complex issues that are going to arise. Now, this is going to bring you considerable challenges, and managing the return back to work is as likely to be as complex as when you closed the business down in the first place. Lots of things have been happening as we're going through this pandemic, so coupled with personal turmoil and ongoing fusion, the challenge for any leader, for you, will be considerable. But besides that, regardless of that, a strategy to successfully deliver should be high on your leadership agenda. And I'm going to share with you 8 pointers that will put you in good stead. The first is to become strategically fluid. And by that I mean, with things moving so rapidly, the strategy that you had placed last week may no longer be valid for this week. So you really need to approach your plans with a level of fluidity in your strategic thinking and what you do. Second, I need you to tap into your resiliency, your adaptability quotient. Throughout your life, you have dealt with various degrees of adversity. You've already faced challenges throughout your career and even your personal life, and you have learned how to adapt. Now is the time to tap into those skills to lead your team into the future, because you really need to remember that you're far more resilient than you think, and what got you where you are right now won't get you any further. Third is to develop an empathetic mindset. It's challenging all round, but to improve staff retention, morale and productivity, you've got to be empathetic and learn to consciously listen to the opinions of your team. Empathy does have its place in the workplace in respect of what people have said, and it's about you thoughtfully considering people's feelings along with other factors you have to consider when making those really conscious decisions. Now, the fourth thing is my favourite. This is about harnessing your inner MacGyver. And when I talk about inner MacGyver, I'm talking about when you're faced with challenges, you need to adopt a creative mindset that allows you to really see and think outside the box. Don't dismiss strategies you would never have considered previously, because you don't really know what's going to work going forward. You have to remember your core objective, what you set out to achieve. And when you identify that solution or a solution, even if it doesn't feel a bit strange out the box, don't be afraid to put it into action. It doesn't have to be pretty, but the goal is it has to deliver on your goals. Next is transparency. Transparency is key because your team will have a lot of questions, and even if you don't have all the answers, you can share some of your thought processes about where you think your business is going and what's happening. I'd also encourage you to ask your team, involve your team, get them to ask questions, to think of solutions, garner their support. You really don't have to do this alone, and they would really welcome being part of the process. Next, communication. It's two-way and both ways. The old adage that you have 2 ears and 1 mouth really goes a long way. And when it comes to communication, your normal focus, natural focus is to focus on what is being said. But the gold, the real treasure, lies in what is not being said. You have to be really cognizant of your listening skills. Listen to the unspoken word. What is your team telling you by what they're not asking you? Also, make sure you're communicating at a level that your team understands. You've been working on this plan. You know exactly what your strategy is going to be. You know what you think is going to happen because you've been creating that plan for a couple of weeks. But don't expect your team to be on board straight away without you clearly communicating what's expected of them, where they fit in, and what the intended outcome is. And you know what else that goes with that. Next, embrace uncertainty. There's lots of things happening that really are out of control, and I'm a big focus on controlling the controllables. The world is changing. Your business is operating differently. Your competition is doing something different. Your team and customers expect something different. The one thing that won't be different is constant change. So for you to be ahead of the curve, you can't fear it. You can't fear that change. You have to be able to adapt. Remember I said about strategic fluidity, and live with that uncertainty and know that it will play a huge part in whatever you're doing. You have no control of the rate of change, but you do have control over how you respond. And lastly, my last tip here, tip number 8, is be unafraid to explore what's coming next. Be open-minded and explore it. Take care.